Hello, everybody, and welcome to Perspective. And you have your girl, Pam. I am going to give it to you my way, no matter how you don't like it or you do.
And you got your boy Carlos giving it to you my way on Perspective. Who's our guest today? Would you like to introduce yourself, Mr. Matt Frazier?
Sure. Thank you for having me on the show. My name is Matt. A lot of people in the Augusta area might know me as Chile Chills, former on-air personality on Period Broadcasting. Now, these days, I run a digital marketing agency, Focus Digital Marketing.
All right.
Okay, so tell us about,
Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, brother.
So tell us more about what you offer.
Okay, so Focus Digital Marketing is a full-service digital marketing agency because it's funny when I tell people what I do, they're like, okay, so what is it that you guys actually do? So a lot of people, when they hear digital marketing, they don't know what it is. But basically, we create and manage website designs. We host websites. We also manage social media platforms for different businesses and organizations. So, everything that you see on Google, the Google listings, the sponsored ads on social media platforms. So we manage all of that kind of stuff for our clients, in addition to email marketing, text message marketing, basically anything that's going to help you stay visible online is what we help out with.
Oh, wow.
Okay, so is it just you, or do you have a team? How does it work?
Yeah, it's a team of six. It's a team of six of us because not one person couldn't do it all. So we have a team of three on our social media team. We have a team of two on our website development team, and then we have two more in our pay-per-click department.
Okay, and so you said you offer on Facebook, Instagram. Which one of those platforms are in all of them? Like, what platforms do you offer services with?
So we do. We manage all the platforms: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, Pinterest. We really haven't gotten into the TikTok and the Snapchat as of yet, but it really just depends on what the customer's needs are.
Okay, all right, sounds really good.
Yeah,
so it's fun. Do you have like a breakdown, financial breakdown of how much that costs, or it just depends on the need of the customer?
Yeah, everything is customized. We have our basic rate card rates, but it really depends on what the customer needs and where they are. Where are you in your business? Do you have those pages? Do we have to create them for you? And then we're starting from zero? Because if that's the case, we really need to focus a lot more on like doing the sponsored ads and things like that to get your page out there. So it really depends. But I would say, for any type of online marketing campaign, look to spend about $400 or $500 per month to invest in that. A lot of people think, well, I have my social media pages and, my cousin posts on them when they have time. But the key to everything, especially when it comes to marketing in any aspect, is being strategic and being consistent. Those are the two things. So my ideal clients are people that either don't know how or don't have time.
Right.
So because it's not rocket science. It's not rocket science. So you can do it if you had the time and interest to do it yourself.
And to learn
but it's also go ahead.
And to learn it and learn all the different aspects, because you guys cover sounds like a lot of different fields. I know for myself, and even trying to dabble in Facebook marketing and or any of those fields, whether it be Shopify, any of these things, to learn the back end of that business and all the different avenues, it could be really taxing just to learn one aspect. And you guys are offering a lot of different aspects of it. How intricate, how much involved do you get in the actual picking of the product or picking of the business, or does someone have to already have everything jump started and you just kind of get it going, the advertising side?
Well, a lot of our clients are startups. So, they might not have a website yet. They might not have a social media one of our clients, we're actually helping them brand their company. You know, the company is just now launching. So we started from ground zero with that client. So we take them, startups, as well as if you've been in business for 20, 30 years, because a lot of people think they can still get by on word of mouth, but social media is the new word of mouth. Is where everybody is.
Absolutely.
So let me ask you one final question, if that's okay with you guys, and before we go to the question of the day. So do you do websites? Do you actually do physical websites, or you just market on the social media platform?
Nope. We do website design and hosting. So we build websites.
So by hosting, you're actually, you have a platform for them to put their website on?
Right. Yep.
What do you mean by hosting?
Yep, it's hosting. So I kind of break it down for clients who might not understand the realm of a website, because before I got into it, I didn't know how it kind of worked. I just thought, hey, you get a website and you're good. So basically, it's three different components. You have your domain name, you have your hosting server, and you have your actual website. So the hosting server, if we relate it to housing, all right. So the hosting is like the land. So you buy you some land, right? Mm-hmm. That's the hosting server. The website is what you build on the land. All right. So the website is a house, and your domain is your street address to let people know how to find you.
Okay.
So for instance, perspective.com, if you guys were to create a website or something for this. So you'll come up with a unique, kind of simple a domain name that's attached to your website that's hosted on your server. So it's three different parts to it.
Right. Okay. Well, that sounds good. Now, I hope you're ready, Chills. I told you we have a topic of the day. And the topic is not hard, because we were talking the other day, and I was telling someone that when I was young, as a Black young person in my neighborhood and different things like that, when they said police, I used to get scared. I didn't do anything wrong, but I ran because I was Black, because we have a fear in our community about policing, and it's not that we don't like the police, we just scared of the police. A lot of us are just afraid of the police. And I can remember growing up and saying that I didn't want my children to have that same fear. So I used to always tell them that the police were their friends. To make a long story short, my son and them got pulled over by the police when they were like 13, 14 years old, walking in the neighborhood. And the police said that they were terrorizing some property, but come to find out, the police lied on them. So, and he brought them home, and I'm fussing at them. I'm yelling at them. Oh, the police ain't gonna lie. The police is not lying. And because they were Black kids in a low-income area, running and having fun, the police was just saying they were in trouble, like they were doing something wrong, even though they wasn't. So saying all that, is my question of the day is, how do we as a people, I guess, figure out the fear of policing in our Black community? How can we make a change with that? And how can we tell I guess sometimes white people don't understand why we're afraid. They're like, it's just the police. Why are you afraid? And they don't understand the history from the Ku Klux Klan to the badge. I know that sounds bad, but that's where a lot of us have faced those situations. So since you're the guest, I'll let you start it off and give your perspective on it, and we're just gonna have a conversation.
So for me, I'm a big advocate of community policing, and that requires, for one, more of us to join that field. Because if I decide, you know what, I want to become a police officer, and I know you, and I get to know your son. Now, if I see them messing around, hey, you better go on before I, call Pam. It's knowing the people in your community. I think that's where a big disconnect is, because the people that's policing our community are not people in our community. They don't live in our community, so they don't know any of the people. They don't know if it's good kids just being knuckleheads, if they're having harmless fun, or if they're really out starting trouble. So
But
actually
chill,
being in a community.
but chill's why we're scared. We need to let white people know, because I have a lot of white friends. I have a lot of cool, people that love me, that
Mhm.
don't look like me, but they still don't understand why we are afraid of the police. And I'm constantly trying to tell them why we run, why we're afraid, and that we don't have to even do anything wrong, that we're still afraid. How can we touch those people? How can we explain to them what's going on with us?
Well, I don't really think it's anything that they can ever understand. Um, you really have to walk a mile in our shoes to understand that we don't get the benefit of the doubt. We are always presumed guilty on sight. And sometimes we might not even make it back. That's a tough conversation, because what can you actually say to somebody who hasn't experienced anything, any of the historic events that happened, from the civil rights movement, from Black Wall Street to everything that they destroyed that we had? How can you explain it to somebody who has never experienced any of that? So, I mean, that's the tough and I think it might require more than a conversation. You might need to do a ride along with them.
Right.
I mean, a conversation. You might get the, oh yeah, I understand, but do you really understand, especially the history of our parents and what our forefathers were made to do? How even our fathers and grandfathers were called boy. I mean, it
Right.
really it is a historical significance that it's going to be hard for somebody to understand through just a conversation.
Yeah, I wanted to jump in a little bit. Chills, you mentioned that there needs to be maybe a little bit more of a community, basically more cops that are from the community.
Mm-hmm.
And I honestly think that they have a lot of black cops on the forces. I think that they're just, once you're a cop, once you're military, once you're a mailman, you think, this is my team. And especially with cops, they're pretty much in a gang mentality where they're blue. You're no longer blue. You're about the force. You're not going to tell on your buddy on the force, etc., even if you're black or Asian or any of these other things. But I think I think the ride along idea is a great idea, because I think that the problem is accountability and supervision for these cops. They have zero accountability for their behavior. The cams are only used when there's a big situation. It's not used in a situation daily in order to train. You go to telemarketing or whatever, they're constantly using their surveillance of their employee in order to train these people. And they're only making $10 an hour or $13 an hour, and they're not putting people's lives at risk. So what I mean is, like, there used to be a big, I haven't heard it so much now, suggestion by the public to defund the police, which I've never really been for that, and I'm always losing my black card and getting it put on, getting it put on, suspension or something, because my opinion is it's not that cut and dry. When you lose the police, who's the first people you call first and foremost if you got a problem? And who do you expect to be that public servant if somebody's holding you at gunpoint in your home?
Mm-hmm.
Well,
you expect the police. So,
go ahead.
Well, just to round it out, I don't think defunding is the problem. I don't think just blindly giving money is the problem, which a lot of people assume I'm saying. Well, you want to give them more money? Yes, I want to give them more money. I don't want to give them more money blindly like they have in the past, because what in the past they did was they militarized the police. They had SWAT. They turned them into basically an armed force with semi-automatic weapons and that type of tactics, as opposed to actually giving them training on how to de-escalate Like everything is an escalation. Everything is take them down and diffuse the situation as opposed to a de-escalation. There's a lot of fear. In my opinion, being a police officer should require a lot more training in order to be certified and to be able to be called a police officer. And to maintain that, you should like the military. In order to get your ranking, you got to get more and more certified. You got to go for a board. The people bringing up issues against you is taken into consideration, all of that. So if you train them first, not to get their behind whooped and get their taser or their gun or their nightstick taken away from them and beat with it, and also to not be so afraid of the power of a black man, because in all honesty, a black man usually has had to fight a lot more than this guy who just decided to jump into law enforcement. Has never been in a fight in his whole life. You compound that with the policies of the police that target black people, and you got I think they call it a powder keg, but basically something ready to blow. You did. So go ahead.
Okay. No, what I was gonna say, I guess my thing is, yes, that's all fine and dandy, but we have not, I guess, relayed to people out there is when black people are getting stopped by the police. Why do they react the way they react? And I guess
was that the question?
It's a look. Yeah,
that
it
topic,
is.
Why do black people run? Is that the topic?
Not why black people run, why black people are afraid. Why black mothers feel like they have to teach their kids, because I know me as a black mom, I'm afraid for my child to get pulled over by the police, even if it's for a light or even if it's for speeding, no matter what it is. I'm afraid for my child to get pulled over. And not only am I afraid, he's afraid. You get what I'm saying? So I think that a lot of times that they don't understand the history behind why we have this fear. And it's not that we're trying to disobey the police officers. It's not that we're trying to disrespect them. It's just that we have a history that comes deeper than they will ever understand when it comes to policing. Because we had the Ku Klux Klan that ran the police force back in the 50s and 60s. They ran not only the police force, they ran the local government, and a lot of those things were not prosecuted. But once that was able to be a little controlled, then the police officers then became militant towards black communities during the 50s, 60s, and 70s. And so we just have a history with the police officers. And I think that that's something that we have to kind of like, I guess, make people understand that I always read on social media, it says, why are you running? Why are you scared? Why, those type of things. And when it comes to defunding the police, back to that, it's not about defunding the police. It's about educating and putting funds in order to train them in a different way to deal with the black community. Because a lot of them don't know how to deal with a black community. When they do come up to black men, they are intimidated. They don't know how to relate to us. They feel threatened no matter what we have. I mean, but Chills, I'm gonna let you step in and let Carlos go on after that.
I definitely think more training needs to be done on a police end, because, and I think Carlos mentioned it as well.
That's what it's called, defunding. It's about that. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, it's not. No, ma'am.
Yes, it is.
No, ma'am.
Yes, it is.
Defunding is defunding. They're not talking about.
No, it is not. It's allocating the money in a different way. It's allocating the money differently. That's what it is.
Sorry, Shields, we gotta move in a moment.
No, go ahead.
Defunding, every single defunding suggestion I've ever heard, I've never heard them talking about.
Read the whole entire.
They're talking just okay. Well, let's look at the examples where they've actually defunded the police. They've literally taken the police out of cities.
Oh yeah, we can.
No, we can't.
No, they didn't. They rebuilt
any
them.
kind of. No, they did. After the city went to crap, they rebuilt them.
No, they did not. That's not true. You got great examples. I just don't have them right now.
I got you, Pam. I'll Google it for you. Don't worry about it. I got you.
Oh yeah, Google, please.
I got
you. But Chills, what's your opinion?
So I was just going to say, I definitely think more training needs to be done so they understand the communities that they're servicing. I think a big disconnect of them not understanding the communities that they're patrolling, and then also on our end, having more knowledge of our rights. You know
Yeah.
what legally what we're required to do, what we're not required to do, and then also not giving them a reason. Like don't give them a reason to pull you over. Don't
Chill.
and
You about to
that's
get in trouble.
I mean,
yeah.
You about to get in trouble, Miss Pam.
It is not in every situation, but if you riding around smoking weed and you get pulled over, you just gave them an excuse to search the car. And that's one thing I never really understood.
See, there you go. I agree.
That's right. I'm jumping in. We're not talking about those excuses, Chills. We're talking about when you going 5 miles over the speed limit. Because do you not have you ever speed, Chills?
Oh yeah.
Okay, you just ain't get caught, right?
I got caught.
Okay, so but if a police officer pull you over and you get nervous, and then he says, and he get nervous by seeing you. And he said, let me see your ID. And you reach for your ID. He think you're reaching for a gun and he shoots you.
Let's be real, okay? Can we be real? Can we be real?
That has happened. That has happened.
It has happened.
I'm just saying, you don't have to smoke weed to get stopped by the police.
Everything
That's what I'm
happened.
trying to say.
But we got to make sure that we in the right too.
Yeah, let's talk about how many times
you got to make sure
actually
right.
It happens, right? It happens where you're not doing anything wrong and they mess with you. That happens.
Right.
But let's talk about how many times when my brothers and sisters have gotten killed where they're actually doing something wrong and they're actually not abiding by the law. And they get, like Chill says, they're not
my thing is, because you break the law, does that mean you, Because you break the law, does that mean you should die?
You don't put yourself in a situation. You minimize. First of all, you making us look bad. If you get killed doing something that like beating the crap out of a police officer, and because a white person has beat the crap out of a police officer and gotten away with it, we burn stuff down. When that person is, you can't. It's hard for us to make a valid.
I'm gonna ask both of y'all a question.
You're not gonna let finish to listening.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm gonna ask both y'all a point. I'm gonna ask both y'all a question.
My point is, if you can't justify a wrong with a wrong, you can't.
Okay, let me ask you a question.
You know
I'm gonna ask y'all 3 questions. Number 1, because you do something wrong doesn't mean death.
No.
Number 2, the second question is, how do y'all know how many times someone of a different race has killed people, murdered people, and still was taken alive with a gun? Okay. Next, the third question is, why do you feel that because you're black and you get stopped for speeding or you get stopped for a tag or whatever, how do you feel like that's right? Even though they're in the wrong, how can you justify their behavior being wrong, even if they panic, even if they run, even if they have a warrant? I have seen where people have taken a police car and still wasn't shot to death. I have seen where people have killed people and still wasn't killed. I'm trying to I guess I'm trying to say, I'm not trying to defend someone's bad
You
action,
absolutely are.
But because of their bad actions, that doesn't mean they should die.
Okay. I'm going to answer your question. First and foremost, I'm about results. Okay. I'm not about the nitpicking and over and over, woe is me, and over trying to explain to people. You want to explain to people why we had these problems when it's obvious, and it's obvious they don't care, and it's obvious they're not listening. Like Chill said earlier, just talking to people is usually not the thing. You got to put them in situations. So that goes into the results. Or the what can we do about it? All right. So first and foremost, if you go back to what we've done about it in the past, when we've actually had some, even like 10 times, multitudes of more situations than we have right now. During the civil rights movement, what did MLK do? Which was one of the most effective parts of the civil rights movement. Even though they had dogs on them, even though they're getting persecuted, you can look at, if you want to go biblical, you can go to Jesus. Even though these people are doing you wrong, you cannot, you don't look like you don't become a martyr by doing. Listen to the psychology, okay? You're trying to say, oh, they doing us wrong, they bullying us. Okay, that's true. But if you want to be realistic,
I'm talking about the fear of the Black community. I'm trying to.
Okay, but it's useless to talk about that.
We're blaming the Black community for being Black.
Okay,
for being who they are.
Listen,
and not saying
I'm gonna need a sign.
We're afraid. This is an issue. This is what we want you to understand about our community. Like we're going on and
I don't feel that we got to explain all that.
Why the community is wrong and not about the issue of the fear of the community.
Pam, I work in a
you can jump in anytime.
It's hard. I know you got a double dash, brother. But I work in a field where we have a majority of white guys because of I guess you could say just the field itself. And whenever you have income, they like to. Anyway, moving on. I work in a field with a majority, 80% of.
We're talking about Black people. But go ahead.
Let me finish, okay?
You gotta stop making that face.
80%. 80% of these, and I'm talking to them, and they don't get it. I use several different examples, all of the examples we normally use. I show them footage. We have group chats where we're firing away our ideas, honest ideas of why this and that, and they're telling me about what their opinions of it, and I'm thinking I could, if I just touch a couple of them and like implant some common knowledge about the Black community, that it's going to help. And to me, it's like firing BBs at a steel plate. You feel what I'm saying? But the way that we were able to do something about it was we were able to keep our integrity intact during the civil rights movement. All of the civil rights movements where you see these people you don't see them shooting back at police, or you don't see them doing that. You see them kneeling in protest. You see them getting hosed down and standing together, locked arm. It's messed up, without saying the other word, that we have to do these things. But the tactics are clear. In social media, in the media itself, you cannot look like the bad guy and look like the victim at the same time. Bottom line.
So what you think, Chills?
So your question again, why are we afraid? Why are we afraid of the police?
I feel like we need to explain.
No, your question. What's the question? The question is.
But y'all coming on here talking about.
No, I need you to repeat the question again.
Go ahead.
No, repeat the question again.
The question is, why are we afraid of the police? Why do we respond the way we do? And to inform people what our perspective is on why we do what we do.
So let's take the first two.
Blaming our community.
Let's take the first two questions, right? Why are we afraid of the police? Do you think that it is a lack of not knowing what our rights are? Do you think if we were more educated about what the proper protocol were and what the local and state laws actually are, we might not be as afraid when somebody pulls up? Because if we don't, they can tell us anything and we'll believe it.
I've seen that. I've seen in media, they've got great examples of people backing down the police. That's what I'm saying. But yeah, that's true. But if you know it, you can back them down a lot of the times.
Hey y'all.
Hey, there she go.
What's up?
What up?
My boy Chills. What's up?
What's going on with you?
Fam?
What's up?
What's up, Carlos?
What's going on, Dominique?
So I think first and foremost, we can't control how people treat us, but we can control how we respond and how we react. And I think, especially for our young men, it's important for them to be educated on what to do if you get pulled over. I help with the mentoring of young boys, 100 Black Men, and we give them cards, the 10 things you should do if you get pulled over. Things like that are good for them to know. But at the end of the day, you got to make it home. So comply. You attitudes, a whole bunch of attitude when they do pull you over. There's been ample amount of times I should have got a ticket. I probably even should have went to jail. But if you caught me, you caught me. You caught me. Okay. Right. I was speeding. You got me. Okay. Right. Now let me own it. Like, what the F you pull me over for? This and be, they ain't gonna get you nowhere. So we have to work more. How do we handle these situations?
I agree. I'm sorry, man.
Go ahead.
You gotta go ahead.
I agree, but me, yeah, it's a but. But even if I do get angry or aggravated in a situation, it shouldn't cost me my life.
That's the part I'm talking about.
You can't control what they do.
Exactly.
And that goes along with that. What can you do to even prepare yourself for that situation?
The reason why I say that is because it's been so many incidents where Black person wasn't arguing. Black person was actually complying and it still ended up losing their life.
That's true.
It's like being the product. The baseline is us being Black. Doesn't matter how mannerable we are.
That's not true.
Or listen. Hey,
I'm trying.
Carlo, doesn't matter. The reason why I say it doesn't matter why mannerable we are. Huh?
Why doesn't it matter?
I say it doesn't matter how mannerable we are because it's been so many situations where we have been mannerable and still lost our life. That's why I said I think it depends on especially the person's training, but they also have to cultural diversity needs to be implemented in all jobs. They have to be able to understand that. Like I did a paper because Black people, we speak with our hands, and a lot of us, and the more passionate we are about a conversation, the louder our voice gets. Some people take it as a threat. Some people think that we're being rude and nasty and all those types of
yelling
things.
at each other.
And that's something that needs to be known. Even with white, go ahead.
Why should we change who we are in order to satisfy? Why we have not? I don't see Chinese people changing the essence of who they are and their culture. They make you
let me say this.
Make all kinds of faces you want, but they are who they are.
Let me say
Black
this.
people are told to change.
If I'm talking to y'all and we're peers, if I'm talking to y'all and we peers, I'm gonna talk however I talk. Right. If I'm talking to my mom or somebody of authority, my demeanor is gonna be a little different. Correct? I'm not going to my mom with this rah-rah because she's a person of authority, right?
I agree.
Same thing. If they never implement any cultural diversity training, if they never defund or move the money around to do any training or community police, what we gonna do then? If we get pulled over, this is my last day, we still have to prepare ourselves. It's still something we can do so we can feel more comfortable when we do get pulled over.
I agree that we should be prepared. I never said that we shouldn't be prepared, but what I'm saying is there's been so many incidents where we are prepared and those things still happen. And when I was saying about moving, how we are as far as moving our hands, yeah, we are manifold when we are in authority. We have our demeanor changes, but even some things about us don't change. That's why our parents have to check us sometimes, or whoever it is has. Whatever habit you keep doing, that becomes a habit. And I'm not giving no excuse for nobody because we shouldn't. If any person, it doesn't even have to be a person of authority. We should go to everybody with respect. But I will say, everybody respect level is different. Things that I might tolerate, you might not tolerate, and that's your respect level. So again, we should be prepared. But how do we approach situations when officers are killing us when we are prepared, when we are nice, when we are manifold, when we're doing everything that we're supposed to do, when we're telling them that we have a gun on.
I agree with you on that. Oh, you want to? Okay, well.
Yeah, I'm gonna jump in real quick. What also too is what I want to say is this: we as a Black community, I think I think it's known that we don't have a problem with police. I have police friends. I know police officers. We don't have a problem with police. We only have problems when we feel threatened. And I think once the younger generation's a little more afraid, because when I was young, I ran for the police. I ain't do nothing wrong. I'm just being honest. The older I got, the more respect I got for police officers. But in the same token, I had to realize what the laws, the ordinance, and everything was in order for them to respect me.
But I think that's a passed down thing. Even the snitching thing. Most of these kids don't even know what snitching means.
Right.
And all they know is that you're not supposed to do it. That's the same thing with the cops. You're not supposed to trust the cops. That's a passed down thing, and that's why so many
we
of
talked
us.
about that being generational. Like we're afraid of the police. Because
okay, so let me ask y'all a question, because it's everything y'all saying is obvious. People get killed when they haven't done anything wrong. People get killed when they are doing things wrong. What are y'all solutions to what you're saying? Because for us to keep stating that, it's kind of like tit for tat. Well, they pulled over this person. They didn't do the same thing.
I think you're coming to the wrong people for solutions. I think you're asking.
Okay.
Okay. I think you're asking the wrong people for solutions.
Why do you say that?
We can give you solutions all day, but we're not the people that's killing. Well, I ain't going to say that because we are.
You're part of the community. You're part of the community. You vote. You have some sort of civil.
Wait. It doesn't matter how part of the community if I'm doing it.
Hold on.
Fred, Dave. Let me stop.
Look, when you run a whole bunch of things together, that I gotta say something. I can't.
If the law enforcement is not doing their job to be a better whatever they are organization, I can talk to the community. I can be in the community all day telling you what we need to be doing right. We can be doing everything right, but if the other half is not. That's just like in a relationship. You could be doing everything that you need to be doing right, but if your partner is not doing what they need to be doing to help fix the situation, then the situation is going to keep occurring. So the law enforcement have to do their part, and we have to do our part. It's just not a one-sided thing.
Okay, if you're going to a psychologist for you and your relationship, and you talk about everything that's wrong and never want to make any solutions, and never, of course, the other person, it doesn't matter what the other person does. You have to be willing to accept what you do wrong in order to fix what the problem is. No, what you're saying is it doesn't matter with you in the community. It doesn't matter because the cops aren't doing what they're supposed to be doing. It absolutely matters what you do, because if what I'm saying or what I think Chill's saying, I can't speak for Chill, but what we were saying earlier was that when you at least come to the table in the right. At least conduct yourself in a certain way. And if something does go down, which it may go down, not saying it won't, nobody's saying because you act a certain way that it's not going to go down, but it is a lower chance of your son or your brother getting into a situation if you don't act like you got an attitude or a problem.
I agree.
When people, if you know your rights and you keep you're not talking to your mom, dudes, not or whoever. You're not talking to your brother. You're not talking on the side of the road. You get what I'm saying, though. You're not talking to somebody on the streets. You're talking to somebody in an authoritative position, whether it be your boss, whether it be your police, whether it be whoever. You're in a job interview. You're not gonna just well, why are you looking at me like that to somebody that you want a job to? So why would you not adjust your attitude accordingly?
I can say this,
you
guys.
They're making it worse, is what I'm saying.
I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna let you say something, Dominique. There are good police officers. I have met several good police officers. I've met some bad ones, and I've met some really good ones. And I think also what can help is the police officers that are good. They need to stand up for what is wrong. A lot of time it's the loyalty there that even though I've met good police officers, they have come to me, they say, I know that they're wrong. I know that they're doing this, but I can't go against them.
Exactly. You want to know why, Pam? Pam, they cannot go against their look. The reason why we've had a lot of police officers to get arrested in recent years. because of the protests, because now it's actually very popular for a police officer to get their sergeants can come down on them now and not get reprimanded themselves. And that's because of the public, regular citizens standing up, saying something, voting correctly, doing all these voting at all, making their voices known in the community. Before a good cop couldn't talk on another cop because they're going to have the whole precinct down on their heads. Now,
but that's what I was saying. I was using it from the standpoints of what you and Chills was talking about as far as y'all prepping. That's why I said if we're doing our part, it takes for them to do their part as well. I don't know if you heard me say that.
I also heard you say it didn't matter. That's what I'm talking about.
That's when I said it didn't matter if we're standing up and doing what's right and they're not. That's what I meant to say if I didn't say that. But I agree the power of social media and the power of voices does get things done. But just like Pam was saying that the officers have to hold each other accountable, we have to hold our people accountable. We can't sit and that's too often we see our cousins. We know our cousins do wrong and protect them in their wrong. We know our brothers be doing wrong and protect them in their wrong. But then we want to scream Black Lives Matter when things don't go our way with white people or with police officers. So just like we hold those police officers accountable, we need to hold our community accountable for the things that they do.
And I go back to
Chaz, what you have to say?
I go back to us being prepared and doing what we can do, having a game plan, even for the parents that have young boys and young girls. All right, so what are you gonna do if you get pulled over? What's the first thing you do? What's the do's and don'ts that comes from the parents that say, okay, if you get pulled over, you do this, that, and the third. First, you turn on your cell phone so you can record it. Then you put your hands on the steering wheel.
They told the other little girl to turn her phone off.
Well, regardless of what they doing or saying to the other people, because there's exceptions to every rule, what will make you feel comfortable as a parent knowing that your child is out here driving and knowing that they know what to do in case they get pulled over? All right, don't forget you do this, then that is yes, sir, no, sir, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. Will it work? Hopefully. Do we still got a bunch of bad apples out there? And from the legal and political side, a lot of work that needs to be done. Yes, but we got to do all that we can do on our end besides the mentality where they just gonna kill us anyway. It's hopeless. They out here doing this, they out here doing that. It got to be more of us trying to prepare the best that we can.
Right.
And in order to, I guess, educate people on why we are afraid of the police is that we have to basically take control of our fear.
Well, we have to face it. Right. We have to face it head on. We have to do what we can preventative wise. Just like your child going out into the world. Yes, things may happen, but you arm them to lower the risk, to lower the possibility of these things. You tell them what to look out for. You tell them how to conduct themselves, what to do in different situations. Like take, for instance, the camera. You said that would they tell you to turn it off? Well, if you know your rights, the thing that might save your life is to be able to say, well, officer, according to such and such law, according to the law, I have the right to record myself. If they see knowledge pouring out of you, they're more fearful of that than their attitude.
Man, listen, I had shared a status on my Facebook from what I had shared a while ago because y'all know I do parenting webinars and seminars and all that. I said,
plug in there, baby, and I do burgers.
Parents spend more money on games and all that stuff instead of instilling values like that into our children, instead of buying books and stuff like that. And that's why a lot of our kids don't. Yeah, our kids don't enjoy the thought of even reading anymore. Not all. I ain't gonna say everybody's child, but the thought of even gaining knowledge like what you just said to learn about the law, like some people, some kids don't even want to care about that because it's not a level of importance. Social media is more important. Those games are more important because those are the things that the parents are putting first. But the only way we can act as a voice is if we know those things. And a lot of us don't know those things. So when we get pulled over, a lot of us are afraid. And before I lose this thought, I was thinking about what Pam was saying about authority. A lot of us don't view the police. Man, think about the comment. think about the common young child these days. They don't look at the police as authority. Some of the people that we know are grown and older, but they don't look at police as authority, which means they don't respect them. That's why a lot of teachers in the school are not respected, because they're not looked at as authority. A lot of these young kids have no respect for authority, and that's where training needs to be done in the home.
But you know what got me what Chill said and what y'all are saying is, I remember reading and studying slavery when you were unable to look the master in the eye when he said something to you. You had to be obedient and respectful, whatever. That your life, your respect level, being who you were, was belittled because you was a black man or woman. And I feel that way when y'all say we need to do all these things. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. I mean, I understand we need to give respect, but we are all adults. We need to get that respect too.
I get that. That's your job. I'm gonna say this off the side. That's your job. I think it's a woman. I think this is a black woman trait. Yes, I'm gonna say it. I think it's a black woman trait. Y'all just straight up hard head. Y'all don't want to hear nothing. But it's all emotion. Y'all are like, you ain't gonna tell me.
Do you know that
let me finish.
You as a black man was not able.
No. We're talking about survival.
You have to look down.
That's not the point.
You have to say yes, sir.
Not the point. Not the point. Your feelings.
I don't know what black women you've been around, Carlos, but all black women don't.
I'm around too right now. That's giving me that same vibe.
I'm not. Hold on. Listen, I'm not jumping. I don't jump off my emotions.
Well, that's what it sounds like. Y'all are talking about. Listen, this is what it sounds like. Well, they make me feel like this, and that's not right. What I'm talking about is, okay, damn your feelings. You need to go home. Damn your child's feelings in that moment. They need to go home. There are certain things survival. You don't get it.
What I'm saying is that we need respect on both ends.
You're talking about looking the master in the eyes, and you gotta say yes, sir, no, sir, and this and that. Like that's a problem. You should teach your child to be able to say yes or no, sir, to a teacher, yes, ma'am, all these things. Right. So why is it a problem if there's an officer who is in a position to take your life to do that? Why is that such a big deal? I don't think that's what Pam was saying. I think she was just saying that I think at the end of the day, I think she was saying exactly what all of us are saying. We need to respect authority. But however, that's not. However, I don't care who you are. I don't care who you are. You still want, if your job right now, I mean, Carlos, I don't know where you work or whatever, but if your boss came and talked to you any type of way, right, spit in your face, push you down, I'm just giving an example of some of the things that the police will do to us. Right. Are you telling me that you're gonna be okay and you're gonna accept that type of But that's what she's saying. Okay, look. Okay, let's use the word sir. Let's take that down, because I'm not talking about once you get into, if somebody's dragging you down and slamming your face on the concrete. No, I'm talking about the preventative measures. I'm talking about. Okay, let's focus. We're talking about the beginning of the escalation problem when the officer comes to the car. You say, "You stopped me for nothing. What you doing, man?" Mm-hmm. Oh, come on, man. Let's be real, man. You trying to tell me you think you get stopped for nothing, or you just don't want to get stopped because you were speeding, but you don't know if they've seen it, or you don't feel like they really caught you because there's a couple of cars in front of you, whatever your reasoning is. Your attitude's on 10.
I haven't had that attitude before.
You can replace.
I haven't had that attitude before. I have said, really? You got this attitude. What?
But why?
Really? Just give me my ticket and go. Just give me my ticket so I can go.
Exactly.
And that's what I want you to do, is give me my ticket so I can go. Because I said give me my ticket so I can go, don't mean you can shoot and kill me.
But that's why I said it's emotion.
Listen,
can I interject real quick? But that's why I was saying. But that's why I was saying you can't generalize all women, because just to be honest, please don't take this as no diss, Pam. I'm not like that. I don't like, as far as I feel like, what I get this ticket for? I approach every situation. If you know me, and if anybody else that know me, they'll tell you that. I'm just as calm as I can be. I'm just as, all women ain't like that. For you to say that,
but y'all not understanding.
I have had a bad day, and I was in college, and I remember talking to a police officer like that. I think I was 20-something years old in college. And I was trying to get back to school. I had came to Carolina, and I was trying to get back to Georgia, trying to get back to college. And I don't know what happened, but I was mad. And he pulled me over, and I was mad that he was pulling me over. He gave me my ticket, and he let me go. What I'm saying is, sometimes, and I don't care who you are, I don't care if you like that or you're not like that, sometimes you just had a bad day. And somebody can catch you on that bad day, and you're not the person that you normally is. Because I feel like I'm the calmest person. I'm calm, I'm serene, whatever.
But if Pam, if we're using that logic, then we have to step in the officer's shoes. What if he's having a bad day? What if that's the reason
that don't
why
mean he kill me?
Well, that's
that
the reason.
Doesn't mean he kill me. Okay,
I get what you're saying.
I'm having a bad day at work, at my restaurant. But that don't mean I give bad service. That means I still suck it up. I smile and I do my job.
Exactly. It doesn't
matter what you
said.
At the time,
that's why Carlos is saying.
I have a bad day, and they come to my restaurant and they're rude to me. That don't mean I'm rude and mean back to them. I give them good quality service, and I smile regardless of how I feel. Because
you can say that in that situation.
That police officer is still on his job.
But what about you?
Yeah.
What about you?
Now, I just wanted to say this. So the definition of insanity is doing the same thing, expecting different results.
Over and over again.
Right.
We see we see what they doing to us, right? So why do we still have the same mindset that we had before they started doing it so frequently? What have we done differently in our approach and when we get pulled over? Now what you see what they doing, and they getting away with it. Trying to fight the police is like trying to win in Vegas. The house is always gonna win. You are not gonna win that battle. So people think they gonna win. You can't. But how many people have been mad enough to pick up a book and say, "Hold on, let me see what my rights really are." Why don't we get that mad? Because if we can't get respect, then we need to get knowledge. We can't make them respect us for who we are, but they can respect our knowledge and what we know. We can make them respect that, but we can't go around just talking this and doing that and not doing anything about it. Get mad enough to know your rights.
That's right.
So you can fight their attitude and they prejudice with the law, which is what they trying to represent.
Right.
Facts. That's exactly what I was just saying.
Look, now that is very true. I actually agree with you on that. Even though I haven't agreed with you much tonight. No, I'm just joking.
That's right.
but I do.
Man, you was adding up.
Look, I sent Dominique a link and said, "Come on," because I know she was gonna be on my side. I was like, "I was fighting."
You needed a
little backup.
I'm like Carlos. I'm not on nobody's side.
I respect that because I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna be leaning towards no which way if I don't agree. But and back to what I was saying with when I said the comment about Black sisters and the attitude towards it, it's because whether it be in a relationship, whether it be in authoritative positions, it's just, and it's not all Black women. So let me
thank you.
But I'm talking about y'all two because let me finish. I'm talking about y'all two. Yes, I'm gonna tell you why. Let me tell you why. Because the comments that y'all have been making during this broadcast have been emotionally driven, and it's your reason, rationale for why that person is right in that situation is that, oh well, they can have what's wrong with me having an attitude, and
I never said that.
What you guys have said.
Well, let me say this, Carlos,
in different ways.
I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say this. Jump in real quick, Carlos. I think for me, and I'm only gonna speak for me. I can't speak for Dominique, but my passion and my emotion comes from the fact that I have 2 boys that I don't want anything to happen to them. And yes, you're right. You both of you guys are right when it comes to educating them, because I have educated my son on the things, like I said, keep your license and everything above your head in the visor so that you can reach up and not reach, because we used to keep it in the glove box. Can't do that. You got to reach up. I've given him all the laws, rules. If we have a NAACP got a book that I'm gonna get some for y'all to come by the restaurant and get one. But it has all the rules. If you get stopped, what your rights are, everything. The NAACP, they have this book that you can read on what your law, what the laws are when it pertains to you. And he has one, so he understands that. But as a mother, we still have that fear about our children. At least I do. As a mom, that's my greatest fear, is my child getting stopped, because my child has dread. Because my child has tattoos. My child does wear urban look, that kind of thing. And he's the sweetest kid on earth, but he might get targeted just because the way he looks.
Racial
and he
profile.
don't have to do anything wrong. So that's my thing is,
and that may be what it is.
Let you understand the fear of me being a mom.
The difference between the nurturing, this is what I'm talking about. The difference between the nurturing part of parenting and the actual tactical part that they need. There's a line there. There's a line between constantly discussing the negative parts and making your child severely afraid in those situations, as opposed to feeling armed with what they're going to do.
Well, we want the police to do.
And I believe, and I don't, and y'all correct me if I'm wrong. I believe I've been saying this whole time, both sides need to take accountability. I ain't blame. I haven't said anything as far as we need to only do this or they need to only do that. We all need to take accountability in what we do, whether it be community, police officers, teachers, whatever. And that's all I always stand on. So I don't see how I'm adding out of emotion. But if that's what
when you made the comment about when you read, I'm not going to go back to that. But I will say that you've been saying that it's not much that we can do in certain situations initially in the conversation. And that's a feeling that we portrayed our children, that we pushed our children. We do that.
I actually asked, what do we do? I said, what do we do? And
I can't say verbatim right now, but I will say this. As parents, I'm not going to tell you what you said definitively, because I don't know for sure exactly at this point in the conversation. But I will say that there is a theme, a general theme that we have. Your question, Pam, was why are we afraid of the police? Here's the answer: because we teach fear to our children. We don't teach empowerment. What you do, we want the police to be trained, but we're not role playing. We're not even role playing what we're going to do in a situation. We may even tell them we need to practice it.
Majority.
A majority of Black people, not you personally. You may do something different, but us as a culture, majority don't do that. It may be just out of the realm of what we've been taught. We may not know how to teach these things. We're not trained to teach those situations per se. Like what Matt has, he has an actual system in place. A lot of us don't have a system in place. We don't get a book with parenting. We don't get a degree, and we don't get a doctorate degree. So we just fly by the hip, seat our pants, or whatever you want to say.
Yeah. Most of us didn't even find out about true slavery until we got as an adult. I mean, a lot of things we're learning as an adult. So it's important to teach our kids once we learn these things.
And I think
this has been a great comment. Go Sarah,
I just want to say one thing. Is kind of, I don't know if that's going to lead into another conversation, but we'll probably talk about it another time. But the white community and other cultures, but the white community is the point. We don't even know our history, like she said, until we get older and we actually start learning the true history. Do you think they actually know the scarlet letter put on their culture, their name? From our perspective, do they actually know what they did to slaves, the examples of the cruelty that they did? Most of these people don't know. When I've actually told them this, they look at it like a fairy tale. some sort of made up or some sort of exaggeration of what happened. When I talk about the disembowelment and the things they did to the man when they broke a buck in front of his children and these different things, they can't believe it.
Yeah.
And I would say for our kids, that's why we got to continue to educate them, because the further and further we get away from slavery, the more it seems like a myth to them, because their lives are so different. They couldn't even fathom, going through the stuff that the slaves went through. So we got to keep, in educating the kids on the same thing.
Yeah, they actually say, I wouldn't have done that.
Yeah, right.
I wouldn't have let them do that to me. I'm like, dude, you're some pretty strong people.
Right.
Back in the day. Look, they wouldn't let you die. They wouldn't let a slave die. They would literally tie you up and knock your teeth out and feed you to keep you alive. Teach you Christianity in order to make you think being a slave master is actually some sort of regal thing given by God. Mm-hmm. They did so many tactics. You're not going to just ignore that. So you have to teach your children.
But that's just the teachers. That just shows us where we are in our understanding. Like, we all have to understand something at some point in our life. They don't understand it because it wasn't of their generation or not as talked about as much. Yeah. And like, some households don't even talk. Yeah, some households don't talk about Black history at all. Right. Probably the only how they probably learn is at school during Black History Month.
History Month. They get a little hair coming.
Yeah. Right.
It's in the same 4-5 people.
Yep.
Right. Well, y'all, this was a great conversation. This time went by real fast.
Oh yeah.
And at times it seemed like we was arguing, but I do feel like we're still on one accord, because we still come to an agreement that we need more education, basically. So anyway, I am going to let
yes.
I'm gonna let Chills or Dominique, I'm gonna let you go first. Give your last perspective about, what this topic is all about, and then Chills will go next, Carlos, and then I end it off.
My last perspective is we need to hold each other accountable, both sides.
Okay.
And my last words are, for one, thank y'all for letting me be on the show. This is strictly my opinion. I'm not a specialist in this area. I didn't even know what the topic was for today. So I hold no type of authority or anything in this area. It's just strictly my opinion about it. But thank you. But
I do, man, right now.
Yeah. I do believe that education is the key.
Amen.
All right. I'm gonna give my last perspective. I think it rides along what I normally say every time, is that we got to start with the kids. Every single conversation we have about the Black community always ends with how we're teaching our children. One, because you can't teach your old dog new tricks half the time. Sometimes you can, but it's hard to teach these 30, 40-year-old strong Black women what they're going to not do and this and do when they've been told that they need to be able to do what they want to do and wave their hands the way they want. And that's fine. But I think the main thing is that we need to arm ourselves, our children with the correct information, with the practice that we want the police officers to have, the knowledge of what the law is and what the situation is supposed to call for as far as de-escalation. We have to do the same thing for our children so that they can ward off a potential threat from a predator who thinks they have the upper hand mentally and physically. You can ward them off just with your words. I'm gonna keep it short. Also, spank them badass kids, because them be the problem too sometimes. They got no control over you.
Okay, what I always say, we're stronger together. Every single show, like Carlos says, whoop the kids, I say we're stronger together. I think that is important for,
trouble.
like both sides to be educated. I think that there's training to be done on both sides. I think we can do a better job on training our kids to not be afraid. And we also have to educate, you know, the community, the white community or the community in itself on where these fears are coming from. And that is understanding history, understanding our history and where all it stems from. And then I think that will, and that in itself will give us power and strength to make a change and to do things differently. Until you understand your history, until you understand people and their different cultures, you're not going to really be able to make a change and ever to move forward strongly together. If you always say there's not a problem, you're not going to understand the problem. And that's where I come from. Yep. So that is my perspective. Y'all need to watch us every single Sunday at 5:30. Thank you, Dominique, for coming in at the last minute. Thank you, Chills, for coming in and being our special guest. And make sure y'all check Chills out with his program. I mean, his business, and his number is 706-400-4201. Call him if you need any help.
That's right. Thank you.
All right, Dominique. Hey, Chills, stay on. Don't go off, y'all.